earlier on, we just sat with the CEO of Siasa Place, and she just mentioned a couple of things, and I want us to pick up those things. Same conversation with one Dr. Barrack Muluka. He said, "Tumite, is it Barrack or
Barrack?
Daktari, tukuite aje tena? Is it Barrack or Barrack?"
Kwa nini unaniita one? You must remember I'm a teacher of English language.
So how should I say it?
I'm very familiar. I take note of the nuances,
Yes.
the granular details of usage. When you say
of grammar,
one Barrack, it means it's some anonymous Barrack.
I think Wakenya tumezoea kuongea hivyo.
Who has materialized here
out of thin air,
and we are trying to find out how this one Barrack is. So I'm very happy to be here this morning.
Karibu.
It's my first time on this platform.
Yes.
And I think you people deserve accolades for the effort that you are doing in expanding the public communications space.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we are with Dr. Barrack Muluka. He is a strategic communications advisor and the Secretary General of the Democratic National Alliance. So, Daktari, welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you. Increasingly, I recognize that there is a proliferation of sham doctors in town. Some of them are doctors of mitishamba, and I think one must increasingly be very clear whether they are doctors of medicine, doctors of mitishamba. I'm a doctor of philosophy and political science.
All right.
From the University of Leicester in the United Kingdom, and therefore I know I advise people in public communications.
Right.
But I think I'm now increasingly less shy of speaking about who I truly am.
Okay.
In terms of my academic credentials and professional credentials, which give me the opportunity to come here, and I intend to speak from that expert vantage.
All right, duly noted. We are in this particular morning. We want to talk about whether Kenya is indeed at a crossroads, and a lot of the guests that we've had here on this station and on this show, to be specific, what they have pointed out is that Kenya is reawakening, and there's this new wave that has taken over Kenya. So I'll just get right into it. As of today, 23rd of July 2025, is Kenya in a better place than it was 5 years ago, 2 years ago, or are we at a worse place, and what direction are we taking? Because we are seeing a lot of what is happening in the country, people dying, a lot of human rights violations, a lot of political instability, economic instability, and so on and so forth. In your opinion, where do you think Kenya stands?
Thank you, Movi, once again, and Pat. I don't think that it is a simple binary distinction that we must make between being in a good place and being in a bad place. It could be a bit of both. But I'll start from the terrible place in which the country finds itself. I doubt that it has ever been worse than this, when Kenyan youth and other Kenyans, for that matter, are getting killed in the streets, in the villages, for coming out to ventilate and to express their displeasure with the state of the art in government, in public affairs. They come out to speak against corruption, which is prevalent, especially grand corruption, which has also been given an ethnic face. They come out to speak about exorbitant taxation, about and against opulence, about a state of unemployment, and many other vices that the state is responsible for. And the answer is being cut down by bullets. The answer is the state pouring goons and guns into the streets. Then we have the one person who has sworn to defend and protect their constitution, the President of the Republic of Kenya, being given an opportunity in a shrine inside a church, a place that is supposed to be sacrosanct, and he stands there and celebrates the killing of Kenyan youth, the spilling of blood in the streets, and he tells the nation that the police are doing the right thing, that they have not been trained in parenting. Apparently they have been trained in gangsterism, because this thing that is happening can only be called gangsterism. And the minister in charge of internal security comes out and celebrates that kind of wretchedness, and members of parliament will shout from rooftops and say things like shoot and kill. And there is abandon in our sinking into anarchy, and it is state-driven anarchy. So we are in a very bad place. If we flip that coin, toss it the other way, we can see that there is hope that more than at any other time, Kenyans are also completely determined to fight against this misrule, this government that can only be described as a rogue entity, that Kenyans are coming out boldly. They are speaking as we speak now. This is a good example that we are in a good place. We have refused to be cowed, that we have youth still coming out, and these are amazing young people that you cut down one of them with a bullet and they will come and carry that person. There's no fear that this is a dead body. They behave in the spirit of courage and patriotism, and it's an indication that in the long run, the liberation of the country from the forces of wicked leadership is assured. So to that extent, in a good place, media is bold. Regrettably, I cannot say so much about the faith-based community that in the past was part of it. Yes, once in a while we hear the mainstream denominations coming out to decry this. We have seen the Anglican Church, we've seen the Catholic Church. At some point also we probably saw the NCCK come out to say something, but they have been more notable for silence, and silence is part of the conspiracy. There's something that's called the conspiracy of silence. The academies are completely dead. I was youth in the 80s in this country, and we at the University of Nairobi were one of the few isolated voices that came out to speak against misrule in the country, a tradition that we took from those who went to the university ahead of us in the 70s, the likes of James Orengo, the likes of Philemon Mtai, the likes of Awori Wakataka, Siagama, and others who are there ahead of us. We do not see even the academicians coming out. In my time as an undergraduate at the University of Nairobi, even our teachers, Anyang' Nyong'o, Willy Mutunga, George Katama Mkangi, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Mishere Mugo, Kimani Geshau, Mukaru Ng'ang'a, Ngodho wa Karaoke, they came out and spoke against these things. So there's a sense in which the academy is also complicit.
Okay.
But we are happy that the younger generation is completely focused and there's no turning back.
The president recently said that he's been attacked, yet he's only been in office for about 2 years and a few months. And he said that he hasn't been given the equal amount of time to perform his duties as previous presidents. And he mentioned, all the way from the times of Moi all the way to the time of Uhuru, that those presidents never faced this kind of resistance towards governance as he is facing right now. What do you think about that statement? Number one, is it true in terms of he's not being given enough time? Because we know for sure dissenting voices are there for a fact. However, he says that it is an unfair judgment so early into his presidency.
So early in the presidency of Jomo Kenyatta, for example, first 2 years, Kenyatta was not killing Kenyan youth in the streets. Moi was not killing Kenyan youths in the streets. Mwai Kibaki was not killing Kenyan youth in the streets, and Uhuru Kenyatta was not killing Kenyan youth in the streets. We must start from there, that it starts with something called life. If we look at liberal democracy, the entire philosophy of liberal democracy, from Thomas Hobbes to John Locke, Francis Bacon, to Voltaire, to Diderot, to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, to Thomas Paine, to the utilitarians. We may want to talk about John Stuart Mill, James Smith, Jeremy Bentham. If we look at liberal democracy, which is what we purport to practice in this country, it starts with life. These people talk about property and the quest to acquire a piece of the action, a piece of the property, and to enjoy it as being the entire essence of the social order. People coming together under organized and legalized formations. It's about who gets what, when, why, and how. And it's about protection of that. But the primary property is the embodied property that is called life, which is granted to us by God and by nature. And without that property, you are not capable of having and enjoying any other property. So the business of government is first and foremost to protect life. The American Declaration of Independence is a good example to borrow from. 1776, saying we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, and we dare add women, are born equal, they are made equal, and that they are endowed by the Creator with certain natural, basic, and inalienable rights. And that among these is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If you destroy life, human life, and these are a universal human principle,
right,
against destruction of human life. That's how and why people get completely shocked whenever there is loss of life in any corner of the world, whether it's through natural happenings and disasters, or whether it is through human agency, whether it is intentional, whether it is accidental. We feel very troubled. So if the president has got the courage to come out and say, shoot to kill. If his ministers and MPs come out to say shoot to kill, it is completely absurd for him to also feel that he's being judged severely. Never mind the other failures, because if you were to look at the micro and macroeconomic indicators, it is unmitigated disaster under this government. And it is unmitigated also in a context where he gave us the parameters of what he expected to achieve. He gave us the template. He set the exam for himself when he was on the campaign trail. And he prepared the marking scheme for himself. And we are looking at the exam that he set for himself. We are looking at the marking scheme, and it's one of those situations in the classroom where the teacher tells the learners that get hold of a pencil and look at your answers. These are the correct answers. Put a tick for every correct answer and an X for every wrong one. And William Ruto has been given that opportunity and is getting X everywhere for an exam which he set, for a marking scheme which he prepared, for the answers which he prepared. And after he has got 2 out of 10 marks, he's saying that you have judged me harshly.
Well, looking at some of the things that Kenyans have judged the president with, of course, I know he promised that once he gets on power, he will work on the cost of living. And we all know the cost of living is not a one-day thing. The issue of the cost of living is not a one-day thing. Do you think 3 months was not enough for him to be able to stabilize the economy in terms of affecting the cost of living?
You come in with a clear agenda. You come in with a roadmap. You come in with a team. Because enterprise and government should also be run as enterprise. Enterprise requires resourcing. Yes, you will come there and you will need funds. You will need human capital as well. You will need time. You will need other resources. But you must have a clear plan that you are going to implement. And President William Ruto, unlike all the others before him, was very clear that his program was based on a plan. He even called it the plan. The definitive article, the. It was the plan to end plans. And he put in place a team. But we also saw that even before he sent that team packing, he was already himself telling them how so useless they were. You remember him summoning them to State House to sign delivery contracts, which were never made public. But you also recall him lecturing them, telling them that you are bogus. I seem to understand your ministries better than you do. And if that is the situation, then something is mortally wrong. And they got involved with opulence, competition against each other to show who had the latest Parisian suit, who had the latest tuxedo from the world of coterie. They were there trying to compete on who was having the biggest car, splashing wealth, opulence. And so that was already an indication that they were on the path to failure. Then, of course, corruption. And we have, thank goodness, institutions of an independent constitutional nature that have been giving us the facts. We have had the allocation of resources. We have had the Auditor General. We have had other entities that have been reporting, and we have had a very bold and focused media that shows where the country is. And so President Ruto also, and I think this is very important, got there and he thought it was about gallivanting around the globe without really showing anything for it. And we have good cause to believe that that gallivanting was about externalization of resources, creating offshore accounts and infrastructure for externalization of public resources from public coffers to private pockets.
Okay. So, Doctor, as we speak about the issues that are really affecting us right now as a country, my question would be, how did we get here? Because, of course, if it is the issue of unemployment, President Ruto found that issue still existing. If it is the issue of debts, I know, of course, he has increased debts in our country. But from your perspective, how did Kenya get to where we are right now?
It's the wrong template. And anyone who has bothered to follow my ruminations through the media, particularly the print media over the years, will have seen that as early as 2018, 2019, I was writing about a country that was on a powder keg. I was talking about the youth bulge in Kenya and elsewhere in Africa. And I was saying that the institution of government in Kenya and elsewhere in Africa had lost focus of what government was about, and that we had youth whom we were training, but without harmonizing training with the future of the nation being the people. Because many times when we talk about the nation, we tend to confute between the nation and the country. The future of the nation, where we say this is where we want the country to be 50 years hence, 100 years hence. To take the country to that destination, these are the resources that we will need in terms of finances. But these are the human skills that we will need. And because of these human skills that we will be needing, this is the kind of training that we need to give our youth. We shall need so many civil engineers, we shall need so many electrical engineers, we shall need so many doctors, veterinarians, we shall need so many linguists, we shall need so many journalists, we shall need so many experts in ICT. And therefore we prepare our educational curriculum in that fashion, and we plan so that when people leave institutions of higher learning, there is natural flow into the labor and wealth creation market. But we lost that. We obtain in a context where universities will come out and brag on graduation parades that we are producing so many PhDs, graduates. We have produced so many master's degrees, and now the total number of the people we have trained as this university so many tens of thousands, without any reflection on where they are going. Universities have also become irrelevant, and it's because of the absence of the research component. That universities are about searching, the search for knowledge, the processing of knowledge, the packaging of knowledge, the dissemination of knowledge. And that knowledge should be relevant to the overall socioeconomic growth and improvement of society. Now that is lost because of the so many square pegs we have had in the round holes that inform planning, national planning and development, and that inform education in the country. And so it is true to a significant extent that President William Ruto has inherited things that have gone wrong over several decades. But as he was asking to get there, he knew where he was going. And so he came with what he called a plan. And we helped him, some of us, to market that plan because we believed in it and we believed in him. And once he got there, he removed the wool in which he was dressed, and the true being underneath came out.
Exposed. So, Daktari, I want us to continue on the same trajectory, but allow me to do traffic for a second. But when we return, of course, I have questions about where that manifesto might have gone wrong. So do stand by for that. But right now, though,
traffic.
This is what you're facing on your roads right now. I'm looking at a photo, or rather a map of Nairobi County coming from Langata Road. There is no traffic at this particular hour. At exactly 8:35 o'clock, you guys are moving well. Apart from a small situation at Madaraka Estate, but that one is just a slight delay of a few minutes. Actually, might be even a few seconds. But beyond that, you guys are moving well. Looking at Bunyala roundabout as you're joining Uhuru Highway, no complaints coming from that particular area. A slight snarl up, about a 5-minute delay, but you're moving nonetheless. Getting on to Uhuru Highway, if you're heading towards Haile Selassie, hapa kumeshikamana kidogo, lakini kutafunguka punde si punde. Coming backwards to join Mombasa Road, heading all the way, let me go back all the way to Mlolongo. Yes, you guys are moving quite well. I'm looking at Agal Grand Hotel next to the Nairobi Airport, or rather JKIA. No traffic to report at this particular hour. Looking at a little bit of that joining road from Airport North Road, joining City Cabanas onto Mombasa Road. A slight delay. This one could be less than even a minute, if you ask me. But if you're joining from where is this? Old Mombasa Road, there's a huge traffic jam there, but you're moving nonetheless.
Jogo Road, as I indicated, there's a bit of traffic, especially from Donholm as you head to town, because of that renovation taking place. And of course, kutoka pale City Stadium as you get to town, of course, pale kuna a little bit of a snarl up. Also, Kariako roundabout, as I indicated, that is also a place where we are seeing a little bit of congestion. When you go to Thika Road, this area of as you get to town, kuanzia pale Ngara Pangani, actually, as you get to town, that is where we are seeing a little bit of traffic as usual. Ngong Road, ukifika pale Community as you head to town, that is where we are seeing a little bit of snarl. And of course, kwa hii roundabout ya City Mortuary, that is where also we are seeing traffic. Places like Junction, for now they have cleared. Mombasa, things are quite okay. Pale Lights Kengeleni, we are not seeing a lot of congestion. Vitu ni kama zime clear.
All right. Anything on the roads, incidences that you think we should know, please. Radio Gen KE is where you'll find us.
Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right. So in studio we do have Dr. Barrack Muluka. He is the SecGen of DNA, that is the Democratic National Alliance, and the conversation is around the direction Kenya is taking. You mentioned that at one point you did support the president to get to where he is right now, as far as maybe campaigns are concerned. You could probably elaborate on that. But most importantly, the people who believed in the manifesto that he provided Kenyans prior to the elections, in your opinion, where do you think things went wrong? Because people loved him for what he offered them, the bottom-up economics and many other things that he mentioned. And he presented this to Kenyans, and Kenyans voted for him. Where do you think the rain started beating him? And why is he not delivering on the same manifesto?
See, you can have a manifesto.
Right.
And use it as a platform of persuading the citizens to allow you tenure in office, to give the reins of office and of power to you. And once you get there, you can look at the manifesto and say, oh, this document here is the manifesto. Then you can throw it away and start doing things that are completely contrary to the manifesto. But I must address the question which you say that I helped President William Ruto to get there. Yes, I did. Number one, as part of exercising my democratic right, choice, and freedom. Number two, as a communications professional who believed in that agenda, which I found very exciting because it represents part of the learning that I went through as a young person, part of the philosophy of development that I have believed in. That when you read thinkers like Paulo Freire, the pedagogy of the oppressed, when you read people like Jean Samavia on communications and development, when you read people like Wilbur Schramm, people like Daniel Lena, people like Everett Rogers, who discussed and participated in the great debate of communications for development, there was what was called the dominant paradigm, and it's still called that, of development, that trickled down model of development, where you believe that there are people who are called the innovators, they invent things. Then you talk about early adapters, late adapters. Then you talk about the people you call the laggards, who do not know anything. By the time the early adapters have moved to the latest innovations, the late adapters are starting to pick it up. And you see it every day, people saying, oh, let's go to Turkey. That is where now business is. By the time they are getting to Turkey, the world has moved on. There's a new model. Some people are saying, oh, there's money we can make in quail eggs. By the time they get into quail eggs, the world has moved on. Someone else wrote about a little book titled Who Moved My Cheese. So by the time you're getting to the corner where the cheese is, it is gone. But there's also a sense in which you can move with everybody from the bottom by holding conversations with them, by getting to understand their felt needs, and therefore delineating very clearly their development needs and working with them towards that. So our role was to help to break this down, and which I think we did quite persuasively, very convincingly and successfully. And we placed a president in State House. Now when he got there, he turned his back against all this. As an honest person, or as an individual who flatters myself with the belief that I'm an honest person,
right,
I cannot carry on with or join the bandwagon of lies and start saying that yes, this is what we meant. We signed 47 contracts with 47 counties. When President William Ruto says that he's being judged harshly, where are the 47 manifestos that he signed with the 47 counties? And how often does he refer to those manifestos to say, this is the manifesto I signed with the people of Nairobi, this is the manifesto I signed with the people of Migori, this is where we are in that manifesto, traveling together. Instead, you are seeing something very ridiculous called empowerment, where at the end of the day, the millions that are shouted about from rooftops percolate to the bottom. They come from the top to the bottom. You're not seeing the bottom-up development. And by the time they have percolated from the top to the bottom, the individuals assembled there are going home with 50 bob. What kind of empowerment is that? That is why we must accept the truth for what it is.
Let me ask you,
President Ruto is a renegade.
Let me ask you something. Devoid of, let's minus this whole issue of maandamano. We minus the whole issue of young people dying in the streets, the police brutality and all that. The president and his team, people who are in government, they have been saying that the president is laying the foundation for a better future, and they have been saying that we shall feel the pinch right now, but in another, I don't know how many years they predict that to be, but in another couple of years we'll start seeing the benefits of the things that he was doing right now. So all these increments in taxes and the levies that have been introduced, all these apparently are for our future. How much of that is true? Because people are shouting in the streets, they are shouting on social media, and we are shouting on the media as well, mentioning everything that is wrong with the government and everything that is wrong with the presidency. But very few spaces are talking about what is actually working. So is there a possibility that things are working? It's just that we are not seeing them, and we are probably too impatient to wait for the fruits.
As I stated earlier, my brother Mbove,
Right.
President Ruto gave us the template. And that template is even timelined. We can go back to it and take a look at it. I've also talked about the 47 charters that he signed with the 47 counties. But away from those charters, which are basically contracts, and I thought that was something very beautiful during its time. Because you have not had those very specific templates that are given to the voters in every county. You are being told this is what we will do, and you have participated in town hall meetings with the president to be. If we put those aside and remind ourselves, and I do hope we do not suffer from some kind of selective amnesia, remind ourselves of the first 5 to 6 months of this government, when the outcry was already there about heavy taxation, about the cost of living. President William Ruto, his Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, those two especially, and Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, who was in charge of the Treasury, were telling Kenyans that it's going to be just for 2 years. Unless I was hearing these things from Mars, which I believe I wasn't. I was right here. They were saying that after 2 years, we are going to have repaid all the debts, foreign and domestic. that after the first 2 years of this government, we will be using our own money to develop the country. And there will be no more borrowing. We had that. And it was drummed up repeatedly. The Hustler Fund, which nobody hears anything about today, was being drummed into our heads every day. It has since disappeared. We also saw that when it was being launched on the 30th of November, I believe it was 2022, that was done in very opaque circumstances. There were very many questions about the sourcing of the funds, about the entities that were managing it. Disappeared. The e-citizen platform, all of which were put in place as some kind of conduits for hemorrhage of public funds from public coffers into private pockets. We must speak of these things. So the bottom line, Sonko, Mbuvi.
Right.
Sorry, you know.
It's okay. I'm used to it. It's okay.
I beg your pardon.
Right.
Mbuvi and Pat. The bottom line is the understanding of why people go into government. I spoke of the American Declaration of Independence that talked about the inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They go on to say, and for this reason, government is constituted among men and women. And any government that does not deliver must be removed through democratic means and be replaced with another government. So this government gave us a clear template which it then put aside. Its philosophy of government became that I want to be rich. It became something like, I can imagine people seated somewhere in some of the innermost sanctums and saying, I shall never be poor again after this. People giving each other and themselves tenders to do business with the government.
Right.
And people therefore losing sight of what is supposed to be done, people beginning to haggle with one another. Even the fallout in government. I don't need to be a nuclear physicist or a brain surgeon to know that it was about tenders.
You're talking about the one between president and his deputy.
And his deputy.
Okay.
It's about doing business with government. It's about prebendalism, where prebendalism we mean that access to public resources through irregular mechanisms is one of the rewards of being in a high position in government. That has been the problem, that people have become trillionaires overnight, that even those we knew who could say mzee unaweza kuwa na 10,000 hivi kwa simu unirushie, that they suddenly become sparklingly wealthy. What is the rationale behind the so-called declaration of wealth? If number one, it's not going to be publicized, if number two, it's not going to be monitored regularly, and so where are you now? if there are no independent entities that are going to do that monitoring of where Mbuvi now is, when he came in, he had 40 million worth, and now what is he worth and how has it flowed in? So the focus has been wrong-headed, that I want to be wealthy, and then suddenly you are seeing people dancing on podiums, on platforms in the countryside, and saying, Mimi mwenyewe, I have brought 30 million. People who could not even afford a decent pair of shoes, they now can bring small change of 20 million, of 30 million
to a fundraiser.
That is the problem. The problem are not the youth in the streets. The youth are only ventilating.
Doctor, there's something that you had said before about you participating in the consultancy services that you gave the president, and especially you talked of a plan that you people gave him about I'm just interested to understand, did you ever give him maybe a plan about on how to fight corruption in the country, how to create this employment? And again, if you did, where do you think the problem is? Because we have had so many times people coming out and saying that we have worked with the president and he cannot take advice. Is that the reason why all these plans that you have given him are not working?
First, we did not give him
any plan.
A plan.
Okay.
We worked together.
Okay.
To develop a plan. And we did not work together in a conclave. I'm hearing now we are talking about conclaves, which
intergenerational conclave,
which are basically secret meetings. We know about the conclave of cardinals that they lock themselves up in a room, and the rest of us wait outside for the white smoke. We don't know the dynamics that take place in that place. We did not sit in a conclave somewhere. We had parties that went out and interacted with Kenyans, and therefore came up with a clear plan in black, white, and yellow, and which was publicized and which you can access online, even as we speak today. And away from the 5 pillars, because you have asked a specific question on fighting corruption
and employment.
And I think those are 2 things which we can follow each stream in its own right, the creation of employment. But let's talk about corruption. It was very clearly stated that we are going to allow the independent entities that are supposed to fight corruption to enjoy that independence. That we are not going to weaponize and instrumentalize, say, the ethics and anti-corruption entity. Instead, we are going to strengthen it. That we will allow the Kenya Police Service the latitude that it requires to do its work. We will in fact strengthen it by making it to be financially independent and to manage itself and its own resources. It's right there that we shall separate and strengthen the judiciary fund from the mainstream consolidated account. It is there. All this strengthening, all these arms, the investigatorial, the prosecutorial, and such others. That's how we saw the fight against corruption. And it is there in the plan, in black, white, and yellow, very clearly stipulated. But what have we seen instead? We have seen people who said they are going to allow the police service to be independent, now saying we have instructed the police to shoot to kill. They are saying police wapige risasi kwa miguu wakitoka huko wakienda kotini, wakienda jela. So it is abdication of responsibility. It is renegation that the president then elects to become a renegade, to run away from that which he has committed himself to. The plan was ideal. I would go with the plan again. But plans are as good as the people in whose laps they end up.
Oh, no. Okay.
All right. We want to take a short break, though, get into the news. But when we return, of course, still revisiting that whole issue of where the rain started beating. Because if there was a plan, yeah, and Dr. Barrack Muluka has said that indeed when people got into office, they discarded that manifesto and they decided they're going to be make themselves rich overnight, you know, and we are seeing a lot of corruption, and I like the word you like using here, budgeted corruption. We're going to be talking about that as well, and the direction the country needs to take going forward if we are going to survive and see another election and beyond. All right, so many conversations happening around that particular area, so definitely something worth mentioning. You can find us on our social media spaces, that is Radio Gen KE, on X, on Twitter, on Facebook it is Radio Generation Kenya. That's where the conversation is taking place. You can also find us live on our website, that is rgk.co.ke. right, I think she had asked something to do, was it education or employment?
Yes, actually he had talked about the plan they had about the issue of fighting corruption, and then there was now the employment aspect of it. There's something you have to say about it.
Yeah, first of all, let's appreciate that there were 5 pillars.
Right.
Yes.
And these 5 pillars were interdependent. And in their interdependence, they were going to create employment. That there was the digital economy, for example, that we appreciated that the digital technology was increasingly globally constituting at once the engine and the wheels on which the global economy was rolling. That President Ruto even created a ministry called the Ministry of Information, Communications and the Digital Economy. And that Mr. Eliud Owalo was appointed Cabinet Secretary in that ministry. And that I, as Barrack, being an expert in public communications, in political science and economy, was one of his key advisors. That the country will remember, and I'll come to the other pillars, that in those maiden days, Owalo was active all over the country, talking about public hotspots, talking about programs that were called Jitume.
These hotspots are for internet, Wi-Fi connection. Okay.
That we were talking about enabling young people through digital jobs. And we were talking about outsourcing of job opportunities for young people. And that even President Ruto himself was very excited about this thing. And we saw that for a while. He visited polytechnics. You remember him in Kabete saying that a young man or woman, for that matter, could make as much as 200,000 shillings per month through this digital outsourcing of jobs. It was clearly an overstated figure, but that notwithstanding, there were those opportunities, and there was movement from one polytechnic to the other, from one marketplace to the other, that we were talking about creating digital warehouses. That now you did not need a physical warehouse in which you stock things, but a digital warehouse where you could say what you want, and within 24, 36, 48 hours max, it's with you. We were talking about those kinds of opportunities.
Okay.
And there were opportunities that captured all markets, including very basic, common, competitive daily markets in Gikomba or wherever, creating opportunities that if therefore you have seen something online that you want, there will be people in between who are going to be employed or to employ themselves. That's why it was called Jitume, to employ themselves as couriers, and they're going to deliver those wares, and the money you have meanwhile paid direct through the digital channels. That we were talking about agriculture as something that was going to spur productivity, and that agriculture would find a meeting point with SMEs. That if you looked at, say, the entire region of this country from Mount Kenya through Nairobi, all the way down the Rift Valley, up to the Lake Basin and to the border of the country, you could convert the whole place into an orchard. And that this orchard would involve everybody in production. Everyone in those spaces who is not involved productively, they could be involved either as primary producers, and if they are producing things like avocados, which would develop within the shortest possible time, you would have the people who are employed as cooperators, and that cooperative officials, and that they would have collection points, and that for those farm produce to get to those collection points, there would be a transportation team or groups,
Right.
that where they are going, there would be people who are then collecting and keeping records, that then they move on to the factory for value addition, or they go to wherever it is that they are going to end up for purposes of further sales or value addition. And the backflow would be the returns, which again would require people, so that every Friday or every 2 weeks or every month, people are getting their checks. That you are therefore seeing sustainable human development, and you could move these to bee and honey production. You could move it to the Juakali sector. You could move it to any other sector of the national economy. You are going to generate employment of a sustainable and productive nature.
Okay.
And the SMEs were going to play a very significant role. But that was abandoned. The other, I've talked about the digital platform. We were talking about laying out fiber optic cables, 100,000 kilometers. Ask how many they have done. That story has disappeared.
100,000 kilometers
of
fiber optics. Okay.
And it has disappeared. Nobody talks about it.
I think the last time I checked, they were talking of Mombasa. It had reached Mombasa.
No, this We are not talking about the
sea cable.
Undersea.
cable.
Within the country.
We're talking within the
Now
country.
within the country. Okay.
Yes, so that we don't look at it in terms of has it moved from Nairobi to Kericho, for example. No, we are looking at human settlement,
Yes.
where people are. And when you look at the totality of the cabling, say in Kariobangi, it could go circular and whatever. When
Into
you put
people's
the
homes.
whole thing into people's homes,
Right.
and there's a specific fund, a service fund under the Communications Authority that was supposed to do that and take it all the way even to Turkana up to Nadapal on the border with South Sudan. It has all disappeared. So from the digital economy to social health care, to agriculture, to housing, and to the digital economy, SMEs, we were seeing these 5 pillars as going to generate transformation in the country.
Okay.
We were not thinking about shooting young people in the streets because they are asking us, where are you? What is happening? Why are you suddenly very wealthy? Where are the jobs that you promised us? And which is their right to do so. So, repeat, the president reneged. He ran away from the plan.
Okay.
And he no longer talks about it.
Dr. Muluka, of all the things that the president promised Kenyans, again, and I'll ask this question, I asked it previously, but perhaps right now what I'm looking for is a simple yes or no. Has the president done anything out of the manifesto that he promised, he gave Kenyans prior to the elections of 2022? Has he delivered on anything?
You know, complex questions do not take yes or no answers. They take complex answers. Because if you ask Kimani Ichung'wah that question,
Yes.
he will say yes.
Okay.
And it's because he's not an honest person. He will then point out to the Shah and tell you, we have registered so many millions.
Of Kenyans.
And he will look at that as delivery,
Okay.
without interrogating the functioning of that. And if you were to force me to say yes or no, then I would say no.
Okay.
And if I said no, you'd come and say, we have so many millions who are registered. And so I would look like I was a liar or failing to appreciate. We must interrogate the wider relevance and the utility of that so-called achievement. At the cognitive level, it looks like a delivery, but we must go beyond the cognitive. And then we will say, if you have registered all these millions, are they benefiting? How much are they benefiting? What kinds of conditions are being treated? And the answer therefore becomes no. It has not been fit for purpose.
Okay.
You can talk about the housing program, which I have seen, and you know, you cannot deny the fact that there are some structures, and you can say that our housing program is working. When we were thinking about it, it did not involve things like the kind of taxation and levies that you are seeing. It did not involve the opaqueness that you are seeing around it. We don't know who the suppliers are, who the contractors are. We don't know how those who are paying the levy are going to benefit from it. We don't know what kind of mechanisms are going to be used for ownership of the houses. We don't know anything about the land on which they are being constructed, and therefore what kind of land tenure you get into if you are procuring that property. There's opaqueness that was not part of it.
Right.
We promised openness, open government that was going to overlap all this. So if you wanted to force me to say yes
Or no.
or no, then I would say no, though my mind does not function that way. It's a little more complex
So,
than that.
okay, so still at that. So, from a scale of, because we accept like there is something that is happening. So, from a scale of 1 to 10, depending on the knowledge that you know about the plans that you had, the pillars that you had, how would you rate President William Ruto?
Again, that is a question that, with profound respect, I would look at as pedantic. You know, these computer systems that you have here, for example, they will tell you press this and press that, then they will say continue. Yeah.
Yes.
And if you have not done something that is mandatory, they will give you some red flags and tell you go back. So to be able to rate Ruto's success, we would need to go through all these gates first before we get to the bottom, to give him 1 or 2 out of 10.
Okay.
And if you are in a place where there is misrule, you have already failed the first test that then allows you to be assessed on all the others. That you have failed the test of protection of the sanctity of human life, that you have failed the test of human rights and freedoms, then you have failed the one which the teacher would not mark your paper. They would cross through it, and they would write there 0.
Daktari, right now, going forward, what do you think the president can do to ensure that, number one, he gets the country back on course, and then number 2, is there any chance that he can convince Kenyans between the time he has right now, the campaign period, and the election date in 2027?
The bigger question, Mbuvi, in fact, ought not to be what the president can do. It ought to be what Kenyans can do.
Okay.
Remember when I borrowed from the American Declaration of Independence, I said, and any government that does not deliver,
yes,
shall be removed and be replaced. Because our concern is not about an individual. It's not about William Ruto. It's about Ruto and his government, which should be removed.
Okay.
If I were to be once again cornered and be told, what do you think Ruto should do? I would say he should resign.
Okay.
That's what I would say, because he does not have the ability and he does not have the proclivity. Yes, Barrack, but you are there. You are one of the people who thought this person would deliver. True, I'm like the team manager who feels my best 11, thinking that they will do the needful, and they don't do it. I cannot pretend after they have failed that they have not failed, or if I've been training you to box, and you get there and you are given the first uppercut, and
I'm knocked out.
You are knocked out. Yeah, I have to accept that you have been knocked out, and we will try some other day.
Okay.
Maybe with a different
approach
or a different team. So that would be it. But perhaps to say he should resign is to push him to an extreme. position, and which he would not want, and which perhaps we shouldn't struggle so much over. If we have survived these 3 years, we can survive another 2.
Okay.
But within that 2-year period, William Ruto needs to demonstrate some measure of goodwill. Number one, to genuinely address corruption. His government and these people should stop this notion and philosophy of in every tender there's something for me,
Someone.
or something for somebody. They should stop this thing of externalizing resources from public coffers into private pockets. They should restore constitutionalism, allow Kenyans to ventilate. When youth want to go out to demonstrate peacefully, like they once did before the crackdown began, with the flag, with the water, with their phones. Allow them that space to ventilate, that people who have been corrupt, the institutions that are charged with that responsibility should be allowed the latitude to do their work. The weaponization, instrumentalization of the police, of the DCI, of the NSIS, of other organs of state for purposes of terrorizing Kenyans into silence should end. That this thing of trying to put in place the rule of terror and rule of fear should end. That way, President Ruto might have some latitude to steer the ship of state to a safe harbor.
Okay.
And having reached there, he should think very seriously before he offers himself for contestation again, because we would not know whether he's just tricking us so that we give him
a second term.
But those are basic fundamentals that he must do. He must scrap this SHA system and give us something that works, that this CBC. And CBC is a whole other
monster
that needs to be addressed. It is creating class divisions, very dangerous ones in the country, that we are creating a generation of people who are condemned to be paupers because they are learning nothing, while at the same time there are other people in the same country who are on different systems of education and who are learning, while the rest of the people are learning nothing. That thing should be accepted as a mistake that we made and go back to a workable. There's a myriad of things. Above all, President Ruto should stop gallivanting across the country campaigning. He should go back to his office and work. If he works, Kenyans might consider giving him another term.
Well, we were talking about Gen Zs. And Gen Zs wametokea and they are so vocal into, they are really agitating for change, especially in the entire leadership of this country. And the other day, Jeremiah Kioni was seated there, and he talked about this issue of deep state. Yes, this is the deep state. This is a word. Yeah, so he said that these guys, yes, wanaweza kupata hizi viti, but then they need some people there, the old people that we've been seeing in the government. What is your take on that?
It's not the people we have been seeing in government. I understand the government. I flatter myself at least with the thought that I understand the architecture and design of government. Also, as I understand Gen Zs. Gen Zs are at once young people who are born between a certain period of time, and at the same time, people of a certain ideological orientation, regardless of when
they were born.
Yes. So that, for example, you could consider me to be a senior Gen Z. Yeah, because absolutely my thinking and the thinking
of the Gen Z
of these young people is bang on. We agree entirely. And that's why even this thing we are calling intergenerational dialogue is neither here nor there. Because the Gen Zs and I believe that the generational Gen Zs and the ideological Gen Zs like myself, we believe that all the answers are already there. They just need implementation. But when you talk about government and you talk about the people who are career public servants, the truth of the matter is that you are talking about what Chinua Achebe has styled as the grasslands and the anthills in the savannah.
Right.
That you're talking about the grasslands of the savannah, where the national executive are the grasslands, and the career civil servants or public servants, for that matter, are the anthills. The anthills are always there. In the season of rain, in the season of drought, they are always there. The grasslands come in the season of rain. Then they shine, they are verdant, they are lushy, they dance in the winds of the savannah. Then they start drying up. When the fires, the forest fires come, they burn them and they go.
Right.
Then we see the anthills. Then the rains will come again and they will bring fresh tendrils. Now when these tendrils arrive, they want to dominate that space. They don't ask any question about what happened in the last season, what happened to the grasslands that were there. And the national executive and its appointees arrive in the ministries and in the parastatals, overloading with heavy hands, overbearing, draconian. They are the problem. The anthills, the career public servants, lie low when you arrive. You arrive, you find a working system. You disrupt it. You come with your SHA, you throw NHIF overboard. The people you have found there are supposed to agree with you. They are not supposed to advise you. If they advise you and say iko hivi na hivi na vile, you victimize them.
Okay.
In fact, you find these people there and you say, these are Uhuru's people. We want to remove them and to
bring
put
in
there
line
our own people. You go to the semi-autonomous government agencies that are working very well. You disrupt them. You have come up with the new things and none of them is supposed to advise you contrary to any opinions that you may be having. So when you go away after 5 years or after 10 years, the new person comes. And unfortunately, people arrive in State House and they know everything. Overnight. Because you have become president. Now, you are omniscient. You know everything. and everybody else is just supposed to toe the line. You are made a minister, you arrive there, you know everything. You don't listen to the people you have found in the ministry. You come with your own people, including advisors.
Okay.
Some of the advisors who know zero about the things that the ministry is doing, and the advisors are trundling around, throwing their weight around in the corridors, intimidating everyone. So I don't agree with this thinking that, oh, we need our own people. There are people who are protecting their jobs there. They have been there for 40 years. They are waiting for retirement. They've been there for 35 years. They are waiting for the day they are going to retire. They don't want you to sack them. So they just lie low and keep quiet. And everything you say, they say, yes, sir. Yes, madam. That's where the problem is.
Daktari, you being the SecGen of DNA, what are you offering the youth, first of all, within the party, and in terms of national politics? Because the youth right now are clamoring for representation, but most importantly, they are clamoring to just take control of their own lives through leadership. What is DNA doing right now?
We must create space for young people to occupy positions of leadership, not as tokenism, but effectively. And it must begin by bringing these young people into the governing organ, the National Executive Committee, and so many other positions at the national level. Then when you get to the branches, because you have got 47 branches of the party.
DNA has got representation in every county.
Not in every county so far.
Okay.
But on paper, those positions are there. And there are positions which we would want to invite the youth, not even to wait for us to reach there, to begin occupying and coming to me and to the others at the headquarters in Karen and telling us we are arriving from Mandera, we are arriving
from Kitui,
and we seek recognition. This is who we are. That's how, for example, when we had the Forum for Restoration of Democracy in 1992, the spaces were filled. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Masinde Muliro, and Ken Matiba were receiving people who already believed that the moment of change had come. Because if you're saying we want to lead, you must also seize the opportunity. And these young people should be given democratic space post that to compete for office. Persons like Barrack, like myself, strictly speaking, should refrain from competing against these young people for power. My role
within the party, or
even within the party, I have to be there to give them direction and guidance. They have even said themselves that they have no leaders, and they need leaders. Leaders who may not be generationally of the same age as they are, but who are ideologically of the same mind, but who also believe that they are coaches preparing these young people
for the match.
Now when you are the coach, and coaches tend to be a little elderly.
Yes.
You don't train the team and then you also go to the pitch
to play with them.
to play.
You sit on the
You
sidelines.
sit on the sidelines and say, this is the team that I have
Coached.
Prepared. That is what people like Naomi Sidi, Barrack Muluka, and others who are now senior have in mind, that we will show them and prepare them to go and meet these gladiators, and they're going to be very ready for the task.
You know, there is something that I have picked. Is he has said that Gen Zs have said they want to be led. Did you say that?
No, I didn't say they want to be led. You know, I choose my words very carefully. I've said
they
They need.
No. I'm here.
Okay.
And God has given me my mouth. In fact, when I arrived in day one, I announced that I have arrived with a loud cry.
Yes.
I said they have said they are leaderless. And that's what they have said.
Yes, they have said they are leaderless.
Yes, they are leaderless. And we are here, some of us, who are of the same ideological orientation. We may be of different generations. And because of the congruence of thinking, we also see the opportunity to provide leadership. And to provide leadership does not mean that I intend to be the one who should be president. No. In fact, I do not intend to run for any office or even to accept any office post the delivery. After I have delivered them, I should also have coached enough people to run the party, and I vacate that space and do the things that I like doing most.
All right.
Okay, you know why I had asked is about the question is because Gachagua, we saw the former deputy president akienda kule majuu, ameenda kule na akasema nini? Akasema tumewaambia Gen Z waache sasa, ni sawa, that is enough, waache maandamano.
No, they shouldn't. I don't buy into that. In fact, we have talked a lot about President Ruto and his government. We also need to flip that thing the other side and ask ourselves a few questions. I'm aware that I live in a country where people see things in binary opposition, that it is either this or that. And when you try to position alternative thinking to those two, you are then classified as a project of one or the other, and which I think is diversionary. There is a wrong ideological approach in this country, that one, you want to take advantage of these young people for them to place you in office. I think the youth should reject anyone who wants to use them to place themselves in office. Anyone who patronizes them and tells them tumewambia sasa wacha hiyo imetosha, the youth are not the problem. The people who are coming to batter them in the streets are the problem. And any advice of that nature should be condemned. I think those who need to be advised are the people in power to allow Kenyans of all ages, denominations and definitions, the freedom to express themselves, even and including expressing themselves through picketing and demonstration, which is constitutional. But within this delicate space that we are in, the young people also need coaching by men and women of goodwill. In my own home, I have raised children who are now adults, and just like my father, I should prepare to cede certain responsibilities. In fact, you take a lot of comfort in seeing your progeny doing the things that you used to do, and they are doing them very well. And so part of our agenda, therefore, is to populate the leadership space with young people, and also to refuse to patronize them because they are not that young. They are not as young as we think. When Achieng' Oneko was detained in 1953, he was 33 years old. And people like Tom Mboya at that time were in their early 20s. But they were already on the national landscape, and they were able to guide the country up to the checkpoint of independence. So we talk about these people as young only because we like to pretend that young people cannot lead. We need, in fact, to infuse them with the belief that they can lead, with faith in themselves, and play only the role that the coach plays, and allow that team to go into the field.
Okay.
And after they're there, allow them to carry on.
In terms of youth taking up these positions in political parties, I have very limited knowledge as to how that should and can happen. But is there a financial implication? If a young person from Kiambu County comes to DNA and says, here I am, I'd like to join DNA because I am interested in vying for this position in my county. What are the financial implications, considering that majority of youths are unemployed, therefore they do not have any income? They're unable to pay for basic stuff.
First, joining the party itself is free, 100%. You are not paying anything, not a coin. And you can go to the portal, political parties, whatever, ORPP, and you'll find your way there. But efforts to register up country are also afoot beginning next week, and that registration is absolutely free.
Okay.
When we get to the election season, some modest levy, as will be negotiated within the party and with all the organs, shall be made, because you need funds to be able to do the campaigns, to move from point A to point B, even to carry out the primaries that then determine who should run. We will get there. We are not people who are thinking about exploiting these opportunities for our own economic gain. If you have followed me closely, then you will see that I lead a very modest lifestyle. When we finish, we will go out, and you will see that in spite of having been an advisor to William Ruto and Eliud Owalo and other people, I still drive my 18-year-old Toyota car that is 250 cc. I do not see any urgency to acquire anything more elaborate.
Did you say 250 cc?
Yeah.
That's a motorbike.
Yeah.
But anyway, carry on.
to 2,500.
Oh, 2,500.
Yeah, because
For a second, I was like, hey.
I wanted to say 250.
Okay. All right.
But a slip of tongue is also allowed.
It's
But
okay.
you can come outside and
Right.
and confirm.
Okay.
After this. So it's about the country. It's not about.
Yeah, and the reason actually I brought it up, I wasn't necessarily specifically talking about the DNA party, but also just because there's we sat here with a youth leader from Kanu, and and he said that he would wish to see a country whereby the youths are taking up positions within political parties. So that's URP, UDA, DNA, and ODM, and any other party, Wiper included. And in my mind, I was thinking that's a good idea, changing things from the inside, and then probably now seeking positions from a party that is probably well known, if it's ODM, if it's Wiper, if it's UDA. But now my question again goes to just to find out the financial implications of joining parties, which you've elaborated. I don't know if UDA or Wiper operates the same way DNA does in terms of free registration, but now when it gets to campaign season and things are intense, and you've said that you will need some modest funds, which I highly doubt will be modest, but you need some funds to get from one point of your county to the next if you're seeking maybe to be an MP, right? So I don't know how that will work. Do you foresee a situation whereby that might cripple the youth because hawana pesa lakini wanataka hizi nafasi?
If the youth are the preponderant population across the country, age 18 to 35 constitutes about 65-70% of the Kenyan population today.
Yes.
Push it up a little bit and say 40. Anyone who is 40 years in this country today, from where I am, is still a youth.
yes.
From where I am, there are people today who are aged 32 years, 33. They cannot even remember a single day in President Moi's tenure. Yeah? They can't, because they were so young, but now they are the youth. If that demographic is already persuaded that there is need for change,
Yeah.
and if that demographic is already everywhere in the country, then we expect that there shouldn't be too much of a need for huge amounts of money. It is perhaps very optimistic thinking on our part, but let us allow ourselves to think that way. Perhaps it will not bear fruit, but we will go away satisfied that we tried.
Okay.
Because the young people are everywhere. What do people do with the campaign kitties in this country? They use the kitties to treat voters. And you can see that the government of the day has already begun. These things that you see them saying out there, economic empowerment. Last evening I saw on TV a lady who had been given 2,000 shillings to distribute among 30 people, her group.
2,000 shillings.
Yes.
Yeah.
The amount of money I fuel to get to the office.
You
Her group has
30.
has
a group
30
of
people.
women, yes.
No, we don't need to do that kind of thing. We are going to tell the young people that this is your opportunity. Take it or throw it.
Okay.
Franz Fanon famously said that every generation has got the responsibility to discover its mission, and having discovered it, it should choose either to fulfill it or to betray it. And that opportunity for this mission, for this young generation, is here and now. They can seize it and fulfill it, or they can throw it. As Barrack, this being my final experiment in these things, remember I belong to a small demographic that is perhaps less than 5% of the Kenyan population today. Sisi watu wale tulikuwa hapa tukaona uhuru. People who saw Jomo Kenyatta. We people who can tell you where we were the day we heard that Tom Mboya had been gunned in the streets of Nairobi. We who can remember where we were and what we were doing when J.M. Kariuki, the news broke that he had been killed, and who remembered the sequence of activities. We who were there in 1982 and saw the coup d'etat that people only read of in history. We are very few. We must prepare the country for the future, and having done so, exit that space.
Wow. There are some quarters in this country that think that former DP Gachagua is a project that was created by the deep state to come and divide votes from the Murima region, or create an antagonist to the government, because right now Raila has been neutralized, for lack of a better word, as far as the opposition is concerned, and so they need this villain in the opposition that Raila used to occupy, so that they can fight the government, and the government will look like it's working. There are also other individuals in that same line of thinking who are thinking that perhaps DNA was born so that they can scuttle the Tawe movement, a movement I'm still yet to understand. But it's the same line of thinking, whereby create this monster so that they can fight this other monster. Things will look like they're working. In very few minutes, because we have like 2 minutes to go. Is that the reality on the ground?
I don't know about Rigathi Gachagua,
right?
But I know, followed his history,
right,
up to the point where he was impeached. That before the impeachment, he even apologized to William Ruto and told him, please forgive me, my brother. But Ruto did not, and after that he has been extremely acerbic. My apprehension about him gravitates around the ethnic supremacy that he seems to be pushing.
Right.
And I see him and William Ruto to be cut from the same cloth. I've made a mistake before with William Ruto, which I completely regret, and I believe and share in those with those who believe in the thought that William Ruto must go.
Okay.
But I don't think that replacing him with Rigathi Gachagua is going to be a solution.
Okay.
The problem we have in this country is systemic, and we have been putting there individuals, one after the other, who carry on with the same thing. We close our eyes at critical moments and say maybe we will get there with this one and he will be different. I think that the president that this country needs will be certainly 50 years and below.
Okay.
It's not going to be anybody of my age, anybody above 50 years. In fact, I think the ideal person will be in the 40s. If by saying so you think I'm anybody's project,
yes,
continue thinking like that. There have been many people with convoluted thinking who live in the country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barrack Muluka. He is the SecGen of the Democratic National Alliance, and thank you so much for the insight that you've given us. The conversation for me was very enlightening. I've learned, just like always, a lot from what you said.
Except to be here.
You've also learned a few things.
A lot, yes.
Sawa sawa.
Asante sana.
Karibu tena sana.